Welcome to the Air Exchange.
All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Air Exchange, a monthly interview series brought to you by EnviroKlenz SMARTView AQI. I'm your host, Lauren Baker, and each episode we sit down with fellow industry leaders and community partners to share real-world stories about indoor air quality throughout a variety of industries and environments. Our goal is simple: to pull back the curtain on the challenges some organizations face with their air, support and explore how they've solved them, and highlight measurable impacts that healthier indoor environments can have. From schools and businesses to public spaces and beyond, you'll hear firsthand experiences and proven solutions that inspire confidence and create healthier spaces for everybody. This series is about more than just clean air. It's about credibility, transparency, community, and real results. Whether you're looking for practical guidance, social proof, or relatable stories that connect to your sector, the Air Exchange is here to help. Today, we're kicking off our very first conversation with someone who has seen the benefits up close. Joining me today is Keith Terry, Director of Transportation for Orangeburg County School District. Keith has had firsthand experience with EnviroKlenz Smart Science in his district, and he's here to share a little bit more about what air quality really means for student health, safety, and success. So welcome, Keith.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Keith, would you mind giving a quick introduction of yourself and your position at Orangeburg County Schools?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Keith Terry. I am the Director of Transportation with the Orangeburg County School District. With over 18 years of experience in public school administration, I oversee the daily operations for safety and compliance of our school transportation system and ensuring that thousands of our students travel to and from school safely each day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, we're so glad to have you here today. And I wanted to just start off today's conversation with touching a little bit on your experience in the world of transportation. So over the last few years, how have you seen the fleet world change and evolve, especially from a health, safety, and a management perspective?
Wow. Over the past several years, fleet industry in general has undergone a significant transformation. Health and safety in particular, especially in the wake of the pandemic. I think that that was the true awakening of everything and pretty much changed life in its totality of how we once saw it prior to that. We moved from being important considerations to being top priorities, right? Air quality, sanitation, and preventive measures are now essential to building parent confidence and protecting both our students, our drivers. From a management perspective, fleets are becoming smarter with all this great innovative technology, providing real-time insights to improve efficiency and safety and communication overall. And so I sometimes say that, yeah, COVID had its number, but there are certainly a lot of pros that came with it that allow us to look at things a little bit better, especially from the human element perspective.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you there. I think kind of looking at the bright side, you mentioned things have become smarter. We're really kind of tying down on what it means to have data and kind of having that as our backing for a lot of the strategies and approaches we take for daily operations, health and safety operations, you name it. So can you touch a little bit more on what role data utilization has played in those evolutions or within your own fleet over the last few years?
Sure. Data utilization is central in how we operate right now today. It's not just about where buses are, although that certainly comes in handy with parents because buses never arrive on time. But it's about using information to anticipate risk, monitoring the health, the air quality, and making informed decisions that directly impact safety and efficiency. So within our fleet, data helps us track environmental conditions, identify those specific patterns, and improve communication with all stakeholders. Transparency is key, and data plays a vital role in that. So it has transformed my approach from reactive to being more proactive here in our district.
Totally kind of where we take our approach from a data side, and you mentioned the word transparency. I think that's huge when you're talking about any application, really. Being able to provide the data that backs what you're doing is huge in any industry, in any community. So, EnviroKlenz has had the pleasure of working with you and your district on bringing air quality monitoring and mitigation solutions to your fleet, addressing several critical applications within activity transportation specifically for your schools. through a combination of measuring and automatically improving the air within school buses, which we know can commonly have its circumstances that it deals with, such as poor ventilation or higher occupancy than a typical room space, as well as an increase in air pollution, whether it's from the bus itself, from outdoor sources, from other traffic-related emissions. So kind of a lot going on a bus environment that has its cons towards the overall health and safety. So we hoped to bring transparency to riding conditions and a way to allow you guys to actively manage them through data-driven improvement tactics, especially as much of the industry, when you're talking about transportation, has dealt with a lack of proper air quality regulations on these critical type environments.
Great.
So, Keith, what were some of the fleet operational or management concerns before working with EnviroKlenz, and what impact did they have on your students, staff, drivers, fleet operations, or even the outer community?
One of our major concerns was just air quality in general inside buses, and specifically diesel buses. And the confined environment of a school bus can honestly magnify the spread of airborne pollutants, viruses, you name it. This not only affected students and drivers' well-being, but it also contributed to absenteeism in school, which of course raised concerns for parents as that impacts their daily schedule, whether that's work or home health care for a personal family member. From an operational standpoint, though, it has created challenges in reassuring families and maintaining consistency in ridership. But this now being a solution to that, and I understand it's right now our activity, which stays pretty on the go a lot. It's been beyond impactful.
You touched on the parents' perspective and even things like absenteeism. I think it's huge to really consider how something such as a ride to and from school can really start to impact other elements of a student's learning environment, their learning journey throughout school, how well they're performing. So it is definitely something huge to kind of consider. If you wouldn't mind sharing, what are some of the features of the Smart Science system today that stood out to you as game changers for your needs?
So the real airtime quality monitoring SmartView was a game changer. What this did was it goes back to something I said earlier. It gave us transparency, but also in the same token, it gave us accountability as well by allowing us to track the conditions and share that data. It's one thing to have knowledge of, it's another thing to see it in front of you. So the combination of prevention and technology all become actionable data gave us both a solution and the proof in the pudding, as the old folks would say. Having that tangible software option directly in front of us was very helpful.
Awesome. No, that was well said. I think here at EnviroKlenz, we're very results driven ourselves, as I'm sure you are. And that's kind of part of the reason why we've designed SmartView AQI, to be able to help gather and break down that data that drives better understanding of what's going on within an environment, how the solutions at play are actually making improvements. So going back to that accountability statement, and which we know has a substantial impact on different industries, such as the education sector. So, meeting certain safety criteria, maintaining standard compliances, even validating the approaches you have in place for health and safety is really huge. So kind of turning gears, what measurable impacts or results have you been able to see since implementing Smart Science across some of your fleet?
We've seen measurable improvements in air quality metrics and reduced complaints related to air concerns, especially with our drivers. When they're entering from our buses and on buses that do not currently have it, apparently there is a significant, difference between the two, and they would have more of a reaction to that versus me, because this is something that they're doing all day, every day, switching between those two environments. We've also noticed an increase in confidence, which has translated into greater consistency, of more folks. I don't know if they really realize what the unit is doing, but I've seen an increase in, we need an activity bus, we need an activity bus. Now, it could just be the way the bus look, but I'm going to take it to where that they're getting a much cleaner ride. And I know they're getting a much cleaner ride, and that makes me feel good, no matter where they're going. So the results aren't just numbers. They honestly reflect healthier learning, and whether those trips are related to academically driven or extracurricular activities, at least I know wherever that they're going, that a clean ride got them there to and from safe, and they're able now to produce more versus having a foggy approach, as it relates to those two entities.
So I think that's huge. And I think even just, some of the feedback that you've gotten from feeling better and being able to communicate that, these are our cleanest rides. We're doing what we can to provide a clean ride. That communication is huge, not only through the members of a fleet team, but, to the students, staff, and even the outer community. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, has the smart science changes that you've made on your bus been able to help or improve the communication with staff, drivers, students, the public about health and safety topics for the school district?
Absolutely. Improved communication by giving us credibility and transparent data to share. And so instead of simply assuring stakeholders that, oh, yeah, the bus ride is going to be safe, we can now show accurate data that going to support the verbalization that we put out there. So what this does is this now shifts the build of trust and confidence in our safety measures. And it also has empowered our drivers and staff to speak confidently about those systems. And why they stand out, because it was a new addition inside the bus. So of course that's why. But then when we educated them on the purpose and reasoning of that, now that was beyond profound. And so having the opportunity to go and look at some video footage, because students are going to notice any and everything, and for them to point out what is that, and to hear our drivers explain the purpose and reasoning for it, because they think it's a monitoring device to watch them. But when they first get in the environment, but that's not what it's there for. It honestly focuses on their health. So to hear our bus drivers, in those situations explain that with passion, is beyond imaginable to see.
Well, that is such a
Yeah,
nice sentiment. I think that's huge, especially from a driver level. They're being able to kind of share that knowledge and that communication with the students. So now you're able to spread that down to the student level, where hopefully people kind of start to grow and have a better understanding of air quality, kind of how it impacts their day to day. So I think that's really wonderful, for sure. Keith, you guys are doing such wonderful stuff in the Orangeburg County for your schools, and I think you really create and position yourself as great leaders and role models for other schools. Considering your position and even looking at the broader transportation industry, I wanted to close out today's conversation with a bit of your perspective that you could share with your peers in the industry. So when it comes to fleet health, safety, and operations, what advice would you give to other fleet directors in your field?
my advice would be prioritize innovation that aligns with your core mission of safety and trust. Um, Technologies as such isn't just a luxury. It's a necessity for modern fleet management, and being willing to invest in solutions that protect health and safety, because those investments will always pay dividends in the community's trust, our operational or your operational efficiency, and the students' well-being, who are our tomorrow, that we would certainly need to guide us to the next. So if I had anything to add, I would add that as value to the conversation.
Mhm. Absolutely. And one last question. If you could use one word to describe your bus's air quality today, what would it be?
Assured.
I like
Um,
that.
Assured. I think that pretty sums up the totality of the technology, the hardware, the software, and reaffirms, our drivers and staff that they're working in a healthy and safer environment every single day.
Absolutely. No, that's a great last word to kind of end off today's conversation. I think that's really powerful. Thank you so much, Keith. This has really been an inspiring
Thank
conversation.
you.
today. We much appreciate your willingness to just share your experience and your kind of perspective on this topic of air quality and health and safety when looking at school buses and student riding conditions. So your insight is really impactful, and I think kind of shows that air quality isn't just a technical issue. It's really about protecting the people, the students at the end of the day, and being able to put your best foot forward for healthy environments, especially in the case of children. So thank you so much again for your time and your perspective. And we hope that your message can really be an inspiration for others in the field to kind of make the same changes. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me. I'm greatly grateful for it. Okay.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Air Exchange. Each month, we'll continue bringing you real stories, practical solutions, and expert insights on indoor air quality from leaders across industries and communities. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share this episode, and join us next time as we explore more ways to create cleaner, safer, healthier spaces. Until then, I'm Lauren, and this has been the Air Exchange. Thank you for listening.